Hey guys, we made it. It's Friday. Wow, what a week. Now, I got three stories pulled up for you guys today. First one is hundreds of people still getting CV-19 after they've been fully VC'd. We also have Britney Spears with this creepy photo that she uploaded to her Instagram. So we solved that. We figured it out. A lot of people have been trying to decode that. And finally, we have racially exclusive basic income in Oakland, California. So we're going to talk about those three stories today. Welcome, everybody. Glad everybody made it on Friday. Well, here are the headlines, and we're going to try to do something a little different on the show. YouTube has these crazy algorithms. It reads the screen and everything else. So we're just going to kind of gloss through these and click to other pages, because what they're saying here is in Washington State that 100 people that already were fully VC'd basically got CV-19. It says here 100 people in Washington State have tested positive more than 2 weeks after becoming fully VC'd against the CV-19. Now let's read a little bit about this, because what's the point in getting this if you can still get it? Now, of course, we know it's only 90-something% effective. But at the end of the day, if you're a young person or you're just generally healthy, the risk of getting some harm from everything else that could go wrong with the VC is now starting to look like a less acceptable risk compared to getting whatever this CV-19 is. I believe it's a flu, but other people disagree. So let's read into this a little bit. It says over 100 people in Washington State have tested positive. The Washington State Department of Health is investigating reports of the so-called breakthrough cases, is what they're trying to call them now, which it said are expected with any VC. Now, this could be a setup for them to go, oh, okay, we need more VCs, or we need different ones as the CV-19 progresses, right? As it changes, this is what they'll probably begin to say. It says out of the 1.2 million people who are fully VC'd against CV-19, epidemiologists have reported evidence of 102 breakthrough cases in 18 counties since February 1st. They're saying is a very low amount, but in my opinion, another reason why you should have the right to refuse this thing that is slowly feeling like it's trying to become mandatory. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you guys. And let's get into this next story. Now, this story saddens me, because what you're going to read here is that what it's trying to say is that basically black people aren't smart enough to compete with the rest of us. This is the message that I'm getting. And as a black person, this is very offensive, because growing up in school, I was just as smart as the other children. You're not less smart and less able to achieve in America, at least, because of your color. In fact, it seems like it's just the opposite. Like more attention is given to the different kids or people of color in schools to help them achieve even more. They get more of the benefit of the doubt, more of the favoritism in schools. You guys, in schools right now, they're teaching white guilt. And so that's empowering a lot of these black children. There is no self-esteem problem that other children have to deal with. You're pumped up. Your ego is pumped up. You're given an edge almost. And then all children are born intelligent. You're not just born into a black body and all of a sudden you have lower intelligence. If there's any proof of that, hopefully people that come to this channel understand that. And there are poor white children and poor black children. So now all we're talking about is a whole bunch of nothing. We live in a society where black and white people have the same opportunities. I don't believe for 1 second that as a black person, I had less opportunities growing up. But here's what they want to do. They want to only give, they actually have the gall to only give universal basic income to people of color. Now, what kind of message does that send in terms of division in our country? This would be a go-to slam dunk reason for a white person not to like black people. They would just cite a story like this. Look what they're doing. Pretty soon, white people aren't going to have any fairness. This is what the message that they're trying to basically make white people believe. This is very, very sad. And let me read this, because in California, of all places, one of the most liberal places with the most opportunities for people of color, why would they try something like this? You know, if you're going to do something like this, maybe the deep South where there's generational, where people were born into something that they can't get out of, so to speak. But even that would be unfair, because there are just as many poor white people born into that as well that remain poor their entire lives. But why would they do this here? It says, like many other cities around the country, Oakland has launched a pilot program of universal basic income geared toward helping cities' lowest income residents. But unlike other pilot programs, Oakland's UBI program is also attempting to reduce the racial wealth gap and will be the first to make race a qualification of the program. I can't even believe I'm reading that right now. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf told Yahoo Finance that Oakland's approach is one of equity. No, it's not. That's not equal. Listen, the people that run this country are in their own race. It's not a white or black thing. Proof being the fact that we have wealthy senators that are black. We have Asian senators. We have Hispanic senators and judges and lawyers. And if you actually looked at the cross-section, I don't know if it would be an equal cross-section of race, but I can guarantee you this, that has nothing to do, the elite wealth has nothing to do with being a white person in terms of the rest of us in the middle and lower class, okay? Has nothing to do with that. It's not because they're white, it's because they're the serpent seed. And they use whatever they need to keep control over the rest of us. But see, they want us all to believe that this is an issue about me and you, taking advantage of one another, when it's not. We're all in the same pot together. The people in the elite are in a different class. It has nothing to do with color. Now, let's keep reading this article. I just can't believe I have to read this morning on a Friday. I'm going to make sure you guys are still here. Thanks everybody for showing up. We'll get into this Britney Spears thing at the end of the show here. It says, we have well-documented racial wealth gap in this country, 10 times asset poverty. We have in Oakland documented 3 times difference in median incomes between our white families and our black families. Oakland is its own animal. The Bay Area of California is its own animal. It's an elite area. Most of the people that live there have tons of money. So it's improperly weighted, is my point. In other words, all of us people in the middle and lower class, we're limited to certain areas where we can live because it's all we can afford for rent. The Bay Area, rents start at $3,000 or $4,000 a month, and they go up from there. So this is a very unfair cross-section of some kind of wealth gap between races. This is skewed, as the statisticians like to say. It's skewed. So they want us to believe there is no elite. That's what they want you to believe. And they're trying to say, oh, most elite people are white. Well, that's probably true, but it has nothing to do with you and I and our level. People on our level pretty much stay at our levels our entire lives. We don't break through into that elite circle unless you pay homage to the devil and sell out, right? But this is the kind of rhetoric they want to continue to push. so that they can maintain control and have us angry at each other. It says, as a piece of this policy development, we believe that we can contribute to the question of how to close the racial wealth gap, as well as designing a program that's going to work for the families that are facing the most barriers. So, how do you, as a Black person, get out of poverty? You simply do what the white people are doing. You stay in school. You don't buy into all of the rhetoric that will continue to make you dumb. It's looked down upon to be a smart Black person. They think they say things like you've sold out just because you get good grades. That is what needs to stop. And that's coming from our own people. Now, I didn't experience that, but I've seen that happen. When I was a child, you see very bright, young Black people getting the same grades that white children get. But then something happens. It's like they start standing alone. They actually start achieving something. And then things change course because they hook up with this identity that's been given to them by the elite. This is what you're supposed to do. These are supposed to be your interests as a Black person. And then you lose focus, or they say it's all about sports. It's all about sports, and it's not. You don't have to be an athletic person because you're Black. And then when they break a leg or hurt their back or something like that happens, they have nothing to fall back on. Now, what I used to believe was the American dream is achievable for people of all races. I don't believe that to be the American dream anymore, though. The American dream is being able to get out of the American dream. That's what the American dream is. To not have a mortgage, to not have car payments and bills and all kinds of things that weigh you down and keep you dependent on the system. It's interesting how words work, right? Because normally when you think of being dependent on the system, you think of people that are on welfare, or people that need food stamps. But no, dependent on the system is being locked into their credit system and having all these obligations that have to be fulfilled. It's all doublespeak in this reality. They want you dependent on the system so they can keep their hooks in you, keep you paying your taxes on a very wealthy lifestyle so that they can get as much taxes as they can out of you. They want your business to do well because then you're going to be paying the most taxes. Well, now they want control and your taxes. So that's why they're shifting everything toward large corporations and business and those kinds of businesses. You see? So, as a Black person who needed no basic income, because I simply did what the white people did to make something of myself, what this story really says to me about what they think about Black people is that we're not smart enough to compete in the American dream. And that's simply not the case. This basic income for Black people only is actually more racist than anything else. Now, let's get into Britney Spears. Now, she's, as you guys know, some of you guys who follow this story, we don't cover her a lot because I don't like to, individually focus on some of these celebrities like I used to anymore. I realize that many of them are controlled, broken people. They're like, a lot of them are like zombies. They're really not in control of what's going on in their life. They're so far down the rabbit hole that the only thing that can pull them out is Yeshua the Christ. But they get stuck in these holes, and so focusing on them doesn't do a lot of good. But this is what she uploaded to her Instagram. Now, this is creepy. And it's crazy because a lot of her fans here are looking at this as some kind of mystery. It's really not a mystery at all. And we're going to tell you exactly what this photo is. It's actually photoshopped, and I'm going to prove that to you. But here's what she wrote. Devil is in the details. Wouldn't want this baby to hit me one more time. So Of course, her fans are freaking out. Nobody realized where this photo came from. But we kept digging, and we found the original photo. Here it is. Here it's Library of Congress. As you can see, it's the same photo with a real baby. Now, who is this baby? Well, according to the Library of Congress, this is a princess. Let's get over to that slide here. Sartoris, Mrs. Nellie Grant. This is actually Ulysses S. Grant's, I think it's his wife with baby. This baby is Princess Cantacuzene. This was unveiled at the Grant Memorial in the Mall. Here's the Library of Congress in 1922. Princess Ida assisted her mother in the unveiling. Here's the original photo right here. April 27th. When is that? Let's see here. All right, so let's go back to this because I wanted to look up this princess and see if there's anything we could find. Now, this is her all grown up. That was her baby picture. Princess Julia Dent Grant Cantacuzene. And she died in 1975 with 88 days left in the year. Now, there's a lot of weird double-digit synchronicities with this woman's life. And this points us all back to The Matrix. Born on 6/6, died with 88 days left in the year. So you have 6688. She lived to be 99 years old. Welcome to The Matrix. Now, who was this woman? Let's read a little bit about her. She didn't have really a particularly interesting life other than the Russian connection. She was an American author and historian, eldest child of Frederick Dent Grant and his wife Ida Marie Honoré, and the second grandchild of Ulysses S. Grant. So she was actually the second grandchild of him, 18th president. Then she married a prince, a Russian prince, and that was pretty much the highlight of her life. It says, as a personal historian of the Russian people during that time, wife of a Russian nobleman. She was in the primary position to observe both the imperial and Bolshevik positions during the revolution. Now, she did have an interesting relationship. I believe it was with her grandfather. And she goes into detail here and talks about it. Down here. Had fond memories of her grandfather, who died when she was 9 years old. Due to severe financial setbacks, her family came to live with the grandparents in Long Branch, New Jersey, where she spent the last year of her grandfather's life in his home with his companionship. Now, as I'm reading through this, we can try to relate this back to Britney Spears, because she says basically the devil's in the details. And so that's why we're reading this woman's life, who's pictured as a skull in the picture. It says, my grandfather wasn't exactly that word. Can't say that anymore. And I do not remember his laughing ever, but the talk between us was very interesting. He always took me seriously. I felt promoted and felt inclined to live up my position as his companion. It's kind of weird for a 9-year-old girl. Sometimes he would pinch my ear or my cheek and say softly, Juliana Johnson, don't you cry. And it rather teased me. But generally, he held my pudgy, dimpled hand on the palm of his, and we learned to count the fingers and dimples together. Sometimes I made a mistake, and sometimes he did, so letting me correct him. And he taught me catch cradle with a string. We walked together hand in hand, silent frequently, but at other moments talking of our surroundings, and he called me habitually my pet, or my big pet, which made me very proud. I was not at all afraid of him, for he had a charming, gentle way of acting always, and though his face was generally grave, now and then suddenly gleam lighted up his eyes, and made them seem to smile in answer to my chatter. So that's the story behind this princess and granddaughter of Ulysses S. Grant. Now, I didn't see any other clues in here related to what Britney Spears was talking about, but she's a hot mess right now. A lot going on in her life as she's trying to get her conservatorship released so she can have her own money. And there's all these movements going around talking about, free Britney and all this. And apparently the people that are in control of her estate are spending her money hand over fist. She's supposed to be worth like $60 million. And every single day they're like billing her back for activities within the conservatorship at these extremely high rates per hour. This is the best I could glean out of the situation with her, which they're slowly whittling down her fortune, and she wants it back. So a lot of this is just drama. They want you focused on this stuff. But there's something weird going on here. Now, I'll post and pin this in the pinned comment for you guys. What are we working on next week? Well, I think tomorrow we got Giswell on deck. Some lady is now claiming out a new victim is coming out and claiming that all this crazy stuff happened to her, even some surgeries to modify her hoo-hoo. Like there's all this weird stuff going on with that. And she was basically locked in a room and all these things happened to her. We'll cover that, I believe, on Sunday. And then I've also got the boss level that I've decoded. And I've got a montage. We'll probably upload that montage probably tomorrow morning. We'll do a premiere on that. But it's boss level. And I've also got Invasion of the Body Snatchers montaged in with this as well. And what else? And The Passage. Watched a couple more episodes of The Passage. Got that in there as well. And it's weird. They all seem to dovetail together. It's all about cloning. Osiris. The 14 pieces. I think we solved what the 14 pieces of Osiris really means. It's all about cloning. It's a serpent in the chest. So we're going to get into that as well. And at some point, I'm going to decode Godzilla versus Kong. A lot of you have asked me to do that. I'm just waiting for that to come available online so I could check that out. But this next decode is crazy. When I upload this this decode tomorrow, this montage on all of this, you're going to see this is the guy from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And of course, this is Axl Rose. And they look like they're very closely related. But we're told they're not. But they almost look like clones of one another. Now understand that a clone, as they experience life, obviously Axl Rose looks much different from this picture than he does now. So life experiences will cause your face to morph and change a little bit. But the bone structure is there. The chin, the jawline, the lips, the nose, the mouth, the eyes. Axl Rose looks like a clone of the guy from Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now, we've caught this happening a couple times over the years with these old films from the 50s, the 30s, the 20s. And these actors look a lot like people that are running around now. It's like a doppelganger. Now, why would they do something like this? Well, again, this goes back to Osiris, the 14 pieces, the cloning. That was actually a true story. What was it? Isis was the one that put him back together. And that's what the whole Humpty Dumpty thing is about. When he fell off the wall, he got put back together from all the pieces. That's genetic talk right there. And so, why would they do this? Well, these ancient pharaohs and princes, they had these canopic jars full of their DNA. And what they would do is they would preserve themselves with the organs which carry the DNA, obviously. This stuff would reduce down into this black goo. So when they first found these canopic jars, they were full of DNA-rich goo. The blue blood. Blue is actually, black is actually dark blue. You see this with blue-blooded creatures like squid. They squirt ink, and octopus. and centipedes have this bluish purplish blood. Well, that's what these ancient pharaohs' internal organs deteriorated down into. But it was preserved. And then they became reanimated or recloned. And they did this throughout time. And then with these clones, you could simply demon possess it, which we know is real because the Bible talks about this. And they would just hop into these bodies. And now they get to be kings on earth. They get to be actors. They get to be musicians, rock stars. I think in terms of the sinful life, you can look at a person like Axl Rose, and he never held himself back from doing all the drugs he wanted and sleeping with all the women that he could. So in their life, this is it. This is like living like a king. Eat all the best foods, driving all the best cars, get all of the accolade and acclaim and worship from the people around you. This would be a modern pharaoh. Now, I don't know any of this for sure. I'm not saying for sure this guy is Axl Rose. This guy just passed away not too long ago, and it's interesting. I think he died on Blind 11. Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, here he is right here. Yep, 2010. That would be a date. And obviously he looks much different in this picture. But this is the guy from Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is all about cloning. So we'll get into a full decode on that montage next week, but I'll upload the montage tomorrow. It's a short one. It's like 5 to 7 minutes long. I've already got it done. And you guys can see this with your own eyes. This whole cloning aspect to our reality is just crazy. Let me go in here into the chat. So this would explain some of the skills some of these people have and persona. Okay. And make no mistake, some of the people that they cloned, some of these pharaohs, these fallen bloodlines that were cloned, were probably people and kings of their time that had some kind of ability to control people, right? They're not just going to clone some deadbeat pharaoh that didn't quite make the cut, even though he had the blue blood. They're going to clone the successful ones, right? They're going to go, oh, wow, Akhenaten or so-and-so had a lot of charisma and persona. We'll clone him back because then he can rule in the modern times. So this is probably what was going on. So imagine, Axl Rose from, 2000 BC with the pharaonic hats on and stuff and the garb. And that could have been what happened. I mean, I don't know this for sure, but it's certainly possible. Certainly possible. All right, let's go into the chat here. Bill says chimera. Yeah, some of them were part animal as well. One J. Reaver says, we must stop chasing money and success in the system. I believe that 100%. That's what gets you into trouble. That is the camel trying to pass through the eye of the needle. Now, someone made a very interesting point about these portals that would be at the edges of cities. And I can't remember who sent me this information. But they said that there was a door called the needle door. And this is where the people would walk through. And I should look this up to be sure that this is the case. But the needle door was for people to walk through. And the arch was for the large loads and caravans with the camels to come through. So this whole thing about the needle and the camel passing through the eye of the needle had a very practical explanation to it. The camel with all the goods on its back could not pass through the needle door because that was for the people to walk through. And that is for us to get back to heaven. We have to shed all of the material things to get there. We can't bring all of the things that are on the back of the camel with us. But this also has another meaning as well. Remember, we talked about nested meanings and nested truths. There's never just one meaning or truth. God is not that one-dimensional. There are multiple meanings. So, in the boss level film, he becomes Osiris, and they call him Osiris, and he has to pass through the Osiris spindle, It's called the spindle, and it looks a lot like CERN. And what is the spindle? Well, a spindle is wound up cord or wound up cloth. Well, that's the portal. The portal is the bound up or wound up spiral. That's exactly what portals are. So, Osiris being Egyptian, obviously, camels are synonymous with ancient Egypt, trying to pass through with all of the wealth of the pharaohs into heaven with all of their things, could not go through the portal. That's another meaning of the camel passing through the eye of the needle. Thanks for the new member that joined. Appreciate that. If you are a member on the YouTube channel, we like to have everyone come over to the PayPal instead. And it's okay if you're here. If you're here, you actually get, like Bill's a member here. He gets a badge here. But for those of you that want to silently give, that won't get a badge, you can come to the PayPal links. That's actually better because if you're a member here on YouTube, YouTube takes 30% of your membership right off the top. But if you come to the PayPal, they don't obviously do that. So it's up to you. I'll leave it up to you what you want to do. For those of you that are able to support the channel, you could either be a member here on the channel and have a badge and give YouTube 30%, or you can come to the PayPal links in the description and become a member there, silently give monthly, or just one time here and there if you'd like. There's links for both. So I appreciate you guys. No Reply says, did you hear about Paul? Yeah, I heard about Paul. Paul from Pockets of the Future lost his daughter, and that's very sad. And I know that Paul believes in God. I don't want to say too much about that because our beliefs are obviously a little bit different. I've talked to Paul personally, really nice guy. I just wish he believed in Christ as the Savior and all of that. But he needs our prayers, but I don't know if he really wants the prayers in the way that we as Christians give prayers. There's like the heartfulness meditation that he kind of wants everyone to do. And I'm not a big fan of that at all because it doesn't really include Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying that as a criticism of Paul. Like I said, I've talked to Paul personally. He's a really nice guy, but that's the direction he's taken his channel. So it's not a criticism of him, but so yeah, he lost his daughter. She committed suicide, so that's very sad. But we can pray for him anyway, even if he doesn't want us to pray in Jesus' name. We can pray for him anyway, But I think he said, please don't like leave a bunch of comments over there and stuff like that, because he said he won't be around for a while. So yeah, exactly. Thank you, Faith Fair. You took the words right out of my mouth. He's into meditation, but still pray for him. There you go. And we need to start trying to come to things from that approach instead of just jumping on people and saying that person's a this or that, because then we just fall right into the paradigm that they want us to fall into, the judgmental Christians who think, we all know the truth, but to get other people up to speed with that, the only thing we could do is keep loving them and keep the door open, right? And keep speaking the truth. So, all right. So we'll jump off of that. And again, pray for him anyway. So. Yeah, he needs time to process this. Yeah. So, what else is going on? So, what do you guys think about why would Britney Spears do something like this? I mean, I know she's crazy, but do you think there was more to this image that she posted? Obviously, it's photoshopped, right? All right. Oh, someone said kids are they're in trials now for the VACC. Oh, that's not good. Yes, property taxes equals extortion. I agree 100%. Treatment for prion disease. Okay. Someone said Britney Spears is controlled completely. Yeah. Miss Marpant says, what pic? I think she must have gotten here late. This one right here. This is what she posted on her Instagram. It's photoshopped. And we figured out what it was. It's actually a princess and grandchild of Ulysses S. Grant. Now, there's like some little stuff in the corner here of this picture. This is probably just the right, documenting the picture or whatever. Didn't really see anything else. This almost looks like some kind of a reflection, maybe. I don't know. But what was she really trying to say here? Is she the princess? Is she the dead princess? Is she like a clone? Let's take a closer look at this lady. So I know some people talk about her possibly being a clone. Let's go back here. Where'd it go? There it is. Let's get a picture of this lady. Does she look anything like Britney Spears? Because we're talking about all this clone stuff, right? Hit me, baby, one more time. Does she look like Britney Spears? No, not so much. Let's look at other pictures of her. Julie Dent Grant. Doppelgangers. I think she's talked about cloning before. Julie Dent Grant. Okay, here she is. No, she doesn't look anything like Britney Spears, does she? Here's a good one. Man, they had some crazy hair back then, didn't they? That's Nellie Grant. She kind of looks like somebody familiar, doesn't she? Wait, no, that's not her. Let's go back. Oh, okay. Julie Dent Grant. Hit me, baby, one more time. It's Friday. Jeez. I don't even know who's who in these pictures. Well, that ain't no Britney Spears, I'll tell you that. So, welcome to the Matrix, right? I want out, like, now. Weird times, you guys. Weird times. So, what do you think we're headed for in terms of travel? Are we going to have to get the VC to travel? What do you guys think? Someone says she's hinting at a sacrifice. Ooh. It's not good. Oh, okay. Uh-oh, we got a troll. Uh-oh. Derek. It's never a dull show, is there? Looks like a dude I dated. Wow. Grant sold his banks. Wait, what did that person say? That's a good one. Ooh, baby, baby. Okay, I'll stop. Oh, no, it's coming in fast. All right. So, what do you think is going to happen with traveling? Yeah, I know. VC passes are coming. Now, how can we stop this? Someone else said that basically they're going to be going forward with this national ID. Remember, we were all over the T-Man about this. We were like, hey, because he was trying to pass this national ID, right? Well, now Bo Jiden's picking up right where he left off. Well, this is a state issue, they're saying, but it's a national ID. So this is not good, you guys. You're going to have this thing to travel. So there will be no more just use your driver's license. You have to have this star on your ID, and or you have to have a what is it called? Passport. But I can imagine that at some point the passport won't even be good enough. They're going to say, oh no, okay, in the beginning we said that's okay. Just like with the mask, remember? Oh, in the beginning you could just use a bandana, but then all of a sudden you can't use a bandana. And then they said, oh, you can use a face shield, but then they're like, okay, you have to have a mask with the face shield. You see how they do this? It's called gradualism. So once they get you to agree to it, you can't go back, even if they change the rules. They can change the rules, but you can't change the rules. So I reject a national ID. Anything that documents who I am and that I have to go get in order to do something, I reject it. Someone called it a passport. That's pretty funny. Rick says, I am not a troll. I am not a crook. All right. Yeah, we're being counted, numbered, isolated. Just not into that. Any kind of control. We already have to do enough stuff to get through life. I already have to sign up for enough things. It's crazy. So, national ID is back on track. You see how it's bipartisan effort? This is what you have to watch out for. Okay. Yeah, pretty soon it's going to be ear tags, says Stephanie. Yeah, when are we going to stop? When are we going to say enough is enough? All right. So people are spending their stimulus on bug out items. Yeah, I agree. Just something of real value, you know? You don't want to get stocked up on too much food because it goes bad. It can go bad. So be careful of that. I would say land is a very good investment with a low tax base. Still a lot of that laying around. So I anticipate that this time next year, you will have to have a VC to get on an airplane to fly to a different state. And then within the next following 5 years after that, you'll probably have to have these same passports to go from state to state, even if you're driving. They'll have like checkpoints. They won't call them checkpoints, but there'll be gates at the major hubs to get into states and out of states. And they won't do it at the gate. You'll basically have to be self-responsible for having your license plate, which will be attached to your VC information. You'll have to have that updated before you cross state lines. This will be in the next 5 years. And so if you don't have it updated, it'll be like when you go through a toll bridge or a toll road, right? They send you a bill in the mail, right? Well, if you pass state lines and you're not fully VC'd, they'll send you a warrant in the mail or something. This is where I think we're headed. And it's going to be a very sad day. And at that point, hopefully you're in a place where you can stay put and not have to go outside of the state. They give the illusion of freedom, the illusion of choice, but really you don't have a choice, and your life will get really hard if you choose to not comply. So, I was thinking back in right after the Super Bowl from last year, not this year, last year, we were talking about all of this, where things were headed. We may upload some of those videos. I might re-upload some of those. I was telling you exactly what was going to happen in the future. And we're here already. I told you guys that there would be like a VC that they would hold over our head and say, we can't open fully. We can't go back to life as normal until everyone gets it or most people get it. That's happening. I told you it wasn't going to last only 2 weeks. It was going to go on and on and on. This would be our life. And that every year we were going to have a new VC that would be pushed on us. A lot of people didn't believe me, and it's happening now. I told you this was all about the pharmaceutical companies making a bunch of money. And they'll just keep parading out new strains and new VCs for that strain, for those strains. And that's happening as well. So I'll probably re-upload some of those videos so you guys can hear it in my own words from that time frame, that time period. And it had more people listen, maybe we'd be in better shape right now. But it is what it is. The T-Man did a very effective job at distracting everybody with all this letter that shall not be named nonsense. And making all the people that were awake to the truth now fall back asleep. That all happened. And that's why we couldn't scream loud enough. People could not hear our voice behind the back chatter of all the deception going on. So it is what it is. So we just have to pray for those people. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pop off of here. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. We will see you soon. Have a great day.